Meanwhile, the situation in Gaza grows more dire by the minute. All 2.1 million people living in the Strip are said to be food insecure, and Gaza's health ministry says around 70,000 children are showing signs of malnutrition. And the people of Israel themselves are taking to the street in protest against their government's actions. For more, we'd like to bring on Aaron David Miller, Senior Fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and a former Middle East hostage negotiator. Thank you for joining us. First off, 146 nations have recognized the Palestinian state. What sets France apart?
It's an important key European power along with the Brits and the Germans. It's a member of the Security Council. It's a nuclear weapons state. And of course, if France's move would provide a pathway for other members of the G7, of which the French are also a member, that would be the Brits, the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and the Americans, you might get some traction. But this is virtue signaling. Rather than this, the French and the Europeans should do more to attend to the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Look, the EU is Israel's second largest trading partner. There's a critically important EU association agreement. The issue of a delivery of humanitarian assistance into Gaza is not an easy issue. Israelis claim that Hamas is diverting and selling, inflating prices on the black market. But the system the Israelis have now created, which is an American-Israeli concoction, to basically distribute aid through something called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which apparently delivers boxes which provide enough foodstuffs, apparently, for 5 people for 3 days, has also created a chaos at these distribution sites. We need the UN and credible NGOs to deliver assistance facilitated by the Israelis. So rather than spend his time recognizing Palestinian statehood, which right now, frankly, even though I believe it is the only solution to this conflict, it's a more appropriate tactic for a galaxy far, far away rather than the realities back here on planet Earth. And those realities now call for unified action to press Hamas and Israel to basically create stable and reliable pathways for the distribution. And you now have reports of starvation, which means you don't just need food. You're going to need access to potable water. You're going to need access to sanitation, proper medical care. So no, to me, this is a move. I don't agree with Rubio or President Trump because they're not prepared to draw the conclusion that I think I've drawn, and that is more pressure on Israel and Hamas is needed to basically end the war in Gaza, or at least deliver humanitarian aid.
Let me get you on one other thing. Ceasefire talks have stalled yesterday. The U.S. and Israel recalled their negotiators from talks with Hamas. It seems like an endless cycle of no progress. So what needs to change?
What needs to change is a growing recognition, I think, on the part of the Israelis and the Hamas leadership that this situation has created a dead end. And the reality is the closer you get to the end state in Gaza for each of these parties, and their objectives are mutually incompatible. Hamas is willing to release all of the hostages if only the Israelis would withdraw from Gaza and end the war. This Israeli government, or I would argue any Israeli government, is not going to agree to that. So I would argue more pressure is needed on both parties in a way that's significant and consequential.
Got it. We got to leave it right there.
I'm not sure you're going to get that from the Trump administration.
Thank you. We'll have to leave it right there. Aaron David Miller, we appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.